Okay, so Kevin is alive, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I think Audrey is going to betray all the tailies. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Sibz, West Coast, East Coast siblings, where we break down your favorite movies and TV shows. Tonight we are talking Snowpiercer once again, episode 7. A lot went down. I mean, almost too much. They really crammed it into an episode. So we're going to break it all down. This is going to be a review, your reaction, biggest takeaways, all rolled into one video. So grab a snack. This is probably going to be a long one. And let's dive right into it. First off, YouTube says that there are thousands of you guys who watch this show every week, and you're still not subscribed. I mean, we already seem to like the same TV shows, so might as well go ahead and make the plunge. And there will probably be a season 3 of Snowpiercer, so might as well. So let's get into it. Obviously, now let me start with Kevin being alive. And let me connect the dots here if I can. So follow me through this journey. So, Audrey, we know, had a bathtub moment with Wilford. This happened prior to the Kevin bathtub moment. And as of right now, those are the only two bathtub moments that we are aware of. Okay? As Audrey explained, this is something that happens to people that Wilford really, really likes. Okay? And what we're seeing now, what was revealed, is that the bathtub killing is more of a test of loyalty. He doesn't actually intend to kill you. As twisted as it is. So when it happened to Audrey, she was then saved, okay? And she was conditioned. She was programmed in order to be a sleeper agent for Wilford. So that's why I'm just going to err on the side of not trusting her at this point, because even though, it seems like she's got her own plan, a trick up her sleeve by convincing Kevin that he should continue to be loyal to Wilford, I still think that ultimately that brainwashing is too deeply rooted. At one point, Audrey was so in the palm of Wilford's hand that he got her to end her own life. And I still think that deep-rooted brainwashing is still there, whether she wants to believe it or not. So, with that being said, she goes in, gets Kevin to basically do the same thing, and now Kevin is ready to do all of Wilford's bidding. Now, there may be some people still on the Taily side, on Snowpiercer, that think that Kevin was turning or coming to their side. I really doubt it. I don't know how much use Kevin is going to be to Wilford, but I mean, anybody who is that loyal, I guess, has to be of some sort of use. Now, let's jump on over to what's happening with Leighton in this episode, as he and Best Hill are both dealing with the aftermath of the riots that happened, and of course, the breachmen that were killed, 8 of them, leaving just 1. So they're doing their thing, and Bess is investigating. Remember, she took 1 day off, and that's when all this hit the fan. So, goodness gracious, they are all right now rioting like there's no tomorrow. Not the tailies at all, really, at this point. It is all the people of Snowpiercer. These are the high-end people on Snowpiercer, the upper train people. They have apparently remained loyal to Wilford, and we had talked about this weeks and weeks ago. I said that, despite everything that is happening right now on the train, once they found out that Melanie was behind all of the turmoil they were experiencing, that probably endeared Wilford to a lot of them, because they realized that he was never actually responsible for any of the bad stuff that had happened on Snowpiercer. He was never there. So, like I said, his name is on the train. He's going to have a lot of pull. He spent that night in the night car, having a big show and endearing himself to those upper train people, and now it's really starting to show. Leighton goes on, and he makes a announcement on the train speaker system, and this sets it all off. And you really start to see for the first time just the amount of massive, massive support that Wilford has on Snowpiercer. And honestly, I think with the support of Big Alice and Wilford's sleeper agents all over Snowpiercer, and so many loyal people, I don't think the tailies and Leighton stand a chance. Speaking of Leighton not standing a chance, he decides to sacrifice himself in this episode for Pike. So that's the next big thing. He was about to get his arm cut off, but Ruth jumps in last minute and saves his life. So this is a big moment, I think, for Leighton and Ruth, because they've never been friends at all. There's always been bad blood between them. And we know that Zara was kind of just a pawn of either Ruth or Leighton. They were both using her to kind of get more information from each other than they could get just by going directly. Now, remember, a house divided can't stand. And really, with Ruth and Leighton being the two leaders of Snowpiercer, Ruth leading the upper class, higher class people, and Leighton leading the tailies and the rebels, it's always been a detriment to their side that they've never been on the same team. And so, they had a little bit of a scuffle earlier in the episode between Zara and basically Ruth was criticizing Leighton for the way he handled the train announcement, and so they got into it about that. And I think this was a moment where Ruth saves him from getting his arm cut off when Leighton tries to sacrifice himself for Pike. And I think this is going to grow a bond between them, and that's really what they need at this point. But from there, I want to get to Alex. That's the next thing that happens in this episode. Alex is obviously very frustrated because she was Wilford's right-hand woman for forever on Big Alice, as long as we've seen, at least. And now that Audrey's back, but she must have been aware of Audrey at some point. But basically, Audrey is back, and she seems to be taking all of Wilford's attention, and not only his attention, but his trust. There used to be nothing that Wilford kept from Alex, at least as far as we know. But now it's come to our attention that he's hiding a secret project. That secret project was Kevin being brainwashed and all that stuff. I guess he's working this new brainwashing scheme. Who knows where that's going to go? But anyway, Alex is not happy about it. And Wilford is he even holds a knife to her after a comment that she made saying, just basically watch it. And I think this is going to boil to a head. I think Alex will now be doubly looking for any sign of betrayal that she can find in Audrey. And as soon as she hears that, she's going to take it right to Wilford. And that's going to be the big reveal. Now, again, I still think that I think that Audrey is on Wilford's side, even if she doesn't know that she is. Again, that just goes to the power of the brainwashing I think that's being done with these people on Snowpiercer. By the way, if you're still watching, again, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, so we can grow the community. This Snowpiercer community doesn't get a lot of attention. It's a pretty good show, but it doesn't get a lot of the attention that it probably deserves. So help us build that community. Anyway, moving on, because this episode was just so packed with so many big developments, we have the... this is the problem when you can't read your own notes here. We have the big reveal that the pastor, has been possibly the main guy leading up the rebellion, working for Wilford and going against the people of Snowpiercer. So he had been introduced a couple episodes back with Bess Till's character, the detective, and they were fighting or whatever. They got their first match kind of in a ring, and she kind of comes into her own as a fighter and really owns that detective role. But we had assumed that, the pastor would be a friend or someone like that. But she finds out via the St. Christopher necklace that he gives to one of the breachmen. It all ties together because they basically follow it to one of the upper class women who bought a jacket from a woman named Katia, who's actually Wilford's grandmother-in-law. Wait, I think that was it. Mother-in-law or grandmother-in-law, one of his in-laws. And so they followed that trail of breadcrumbs to the pastor, who ends up being the leader of the resistance, as far as we can tell. And so that doesn't end well for him. He gets half his head frozen, and I think he's going to survive. At least that's what it looked like at the end of the episode. He was laying on the ground kind of huffing and puffing, but very much alive, as we saw. Who knows what's going to happen. Speaking of frozen people and people being experimented on, that brings us to Icy Bob. And we really thought we were going to see Icy Bob. I know you did. I did. I think we were going to see Icy Bob in this episode. That's what we had seen in all the promo material. But no, there was no sight of Icy Bob. And Wilford at the end of the episode says, "Prepare Icy Bob, it's time." So right now, chronologically, we're not exactly sure where this sits in terms of where Melanie was at the end of the episode. We didn't see Melanie at all during this episode. That's obviously on purpose, but we're unaware timeline-wise where this is. Now, this could be the events right before Melanie goes down to see Snowpiercer just run right past her. And I want to pause for a second because a lot of you guys had a lot of great comments we talked about last week. The fire possibly being because the fire that was on the train as it was speeding by was possibly because the brakes were being engaged. That's something that happens when you're trying to really slam on the brakes, going at the speed that Snowpiercer would be. Not only the speed, but 1,034 cars. That's a lot of momentum going. So that could easily cause some kind of fire, stuff like that, even in those frigid temperatures. So Icy Bob is on his way. Now, some of you guys said that Icy Bob was going to be deployed in order to kill Melanie. But here's my question. Is that really that important, considering they could just drive right past her? And if they have enough control of the train to not need to stop for Melanie, then why not just leave her out there to die? Why get Icy Bob involved anyway? I think either way, Icy Bob is part of a new breed of super soldier that Wilford is going to employ in order to win the war against Snowpiercer. And at this point, guys, looking at all of Wilford's assets and his abilities, it's stacked. I mean, he really doesn't have a lot of things against him. He's got sleeper agents on Snowpiercer. He's got a possible brainwashing of Audrey, who Leighton semi-trusts. I think he does realize the potential for that to go sour. But, you know, she's still, Audrey is still somebody that they would let on Snowpiercer, and she would just get too close to too many important people. So I'll put that in the column for Wilford right now as far as his weapons. He obviously has Alex, who is not only very smart, but is able to manipulate even Melanie because it's her daughter and things like that. I mean, the deck is stacked. And now he's experimenting with people like Icy Bob and also his brainwashing abilities. So this guy has just got his hands in so many pots. And meanwhile, Snowpiercer can barely get themselves together, with Leighton and Ruth just finally having a bonding moment. I think United is their best chance against somebody who has so many weapons. So with that being said, I'm just going over my notes here, making sure I didn't miss anything else. There was a poor girl named Winnie, and her mother got her arm chopped off. That was by Ruth. And so, again, you're seeing kind of that they're forced to stick together. They're forced to be on a team right now, and they don't really want to. The tailies and the upper trains people. There's a lot of bad blood, even between the kids. The kid Winnie was afraid of Ruth because of what she did to her mother, and so I think that's just a microcosm of the problem at large, which is that tailies and the upper people of Snowpiercer just do not get along. So it's going to be a long path to unite them, but they are running out of time because Wilford continues to gather so many weapons, so many different things that he can employ against Snowpiercer, and it's not looking like a good deal here. But in a nutshell, this episode was really all about Wilford seeking his loyalty from Audrey, etc. He wants to make sure that the people who he's letting in are really on his side, and I think the big question is about Audrey's loyalty. I think she's going to play a big role by the end of this episode. We're already in episode 7 now, so we have 3 episodes left. The show ends March 29th. So again, guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so that you don't miss when that episode comes out. It's going to be epic. But those are the biggest takeaways from episode 7 of Snowpiercer. Anything you guys caught an eye of? I know there was some LJ in this episode. She didn't do much but be a jerk, but absolutely let me know if I missed anything you caught, your theories, ideas. Let me know in the comments down below. As you know, I'll be chatting it up with you guys for days after this episode with our theories and ideas and predictions. So thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you for episode 8. Peace.